Well, guys, it's a tale as old as time. Now, we've talked many times about content creators who make content that is thinly veiled as this attempt to better society or benefit the people around them, when in reality, the only reason that content is being made is because it's benefiting the person who makes it. It's not helping out the people that they claim it is, and a lot of times it's actually at their expense. And one of the most common kinds of content that I see this problem arise is with the whole predator catching genre that seems to be pretty popular these days. And today, I feel like I have some pretty strong evidence that one of the biggest guys who does this is maybe not in it for the right reasons. Now, I've talked about this kind of content before, and I wouldn't necessarily say that I have strong feelings about it, but I definitely have an opinion. And that is a sentence that essentially means nothing. Basically, I don't really think the whole predator catching genre of content is one that really belongs on YouTube. I don't really think it's one that should be made at all. And I'll expand on that in just one second. But before we begin, I want to talk about today's video sponsor, MyHeritage. Now, MyHeritage is the #1 family history service, and it's a service that has honestly kind of blown me away. I've learned a whole lot of pretty crazy information from this website that I'm super stoked to share with you guys, but you're gonna have to wait around for a second. It's always really interested me to think about how thousands of years ago, people were walking around who were direct relatives of me, and if they got, a badly timed paper cut or something, and they checked out a little bit earlier than they were originally meant to, I wouldn't be here. So I've always really been interested in trying to go back as far as I can, and MyHeritage has made that possible. It's a fun and easy way to build your family tree, and I can guarantee you that if you give it a shot, you're gonna discover some new relatives that you had no idea existed. Even if you don't know much about your family's origins or your relatives, MyHeritage can find new relatives and family information for you with basically no effort. Seriously, this website has access to 33 billion records. That's a lot of records. And when I say MyHeritage can help you out even if you don't know a whole lot about your family, I really mean it. Just from entering my parents and their parents, I was able to build out a family tree that currently has 111 people in it, and half of these people I did not even know existed. All I can say is that my ancestors in the 1800s were getting busy. Okay? Once you get some basic information entered, record matches start popping up, relatives of relatives start popping up, and you're able to go through these matches and review them, find out if they're actually your relatives or not, and you're able to do so because of the records that MyHeritage has access to, which can give you some really interesting information. For example, I was able to find this man named Peter Whitaker, who was born in 1805, and is my relative from 7 generations ago. And it's super easy to find stuff like this through the feature called Instant Discoveries, where you can literally add an entire branch to your family tree at the click of a button through the records that MyHeritage is able to find from your family. Another really neat feature of the website is that you're able to colorize, enhance, and even animate old photos. You can take pictures of the relatives you find and enhance them, animate them, see what they would be like to talk to. It's pretty crazy. If you're interested in finding out more about your family, finding out more about where you came from, I would highly recommend that you give MyHeritage a try. And you can start today by redeeming a 14-day free trial for MyHeritage by scanning the QR code on the screen right now, or visiting the link in the description or the pinned comment. I want to thank MyHeritage for sponsoring today's video, and let's get back to it. Personally, I'm of the opinion that people really shouldn't be taking the law into their own hands, especially when it comes to something as sensitive as this. Not to mention, most of the guys who are doing this kind of content, they're not benefiting anybody but themselves. And that's really where my main issue with this kind of stuff lies. I have no sympathy for the guys who get caught doing shit like this, regardless of the intentions of the people behind it. If you decide to text what you think is a child, or go try and meet up with somebody who you think is a child, and you meet a bunch of dudes and you get beat up a little bit for the internet, well, boo-hoo. Do I support the guys who are doing stuff like that? Well, no, not really. But also, I don't really care if you find yourself in a situation like that, because you shouldn't have been putting yourself in a situation like that. So don't get me wrong, the treatment or the consequences that these guys face is not the issue I have with this content. If anything, it's really the lack of consequences that they face, and the reasons that the guys making this content are doing it. Some are better than others, don't get me wrong. Some of these channels seem to have managed to get in with local law enforcement, or they've developed a better understanding of what exactly they need for the cops to actually be able to do something. But still, you should probably just be leaving this kind of shit up to, law enforcement. Because a lot of the times these guys aren't working with the police, or they don't get the right information, they don't capture the right evidence, and all they've done is create a more careful predator who's gonna face no consequences. And if you can't understand why people creating more careful and more aware predators while they're trying to put predators behind bars is a bad thing, well, don't know how to explain that one to you. But like I was saying, one of the main issues I have with this kind of content and what we're really talking about today is I think a lot of the guys who do this almost forget, I guess, what exactly it is they're doing and what the goal really should be. Because like I was saying earlier, I think a lot of these dudes end up doing this only to benefit themselves, not really to protect potential victims of child predators. And to sort of highlight this, we're going to be looking at this clip from our old friend Gideon. Now this clip is the reason I decided to make this video, and it honestly kind of took me off guard. Now I've made one video on Gideon before, and I don't think he liked it. His fan base definitely didn't like it. If you don't know who Gideon is, these days I think the main content that he does is the predator catching stuff, but a few years ago he was just another run-of-the-mill public nuisance guy. He would make videos where he would like walk into a Best Buy shirtless, and then when the employees would come up and confront him and say, hey, you need to leave the store or put your shirt back on, and then he'd do the classic, what do you mean? Why do I need to put my shirt back on? Why are you making me leave? Why are you making me leave? What do you mean I can't film in here? Why do I need to put my shirt back on? I just want to be in the Best Buy. What are you talking about? I'm not doing anything wrong. You know, that kind of whole shtick. That was him for a while. I think I made a video on him like 3 years ago, and it was a video where he walked into a bowling tournament and started fucking up the lanes, like throwing coconuts and shit down the lane, you know, just being that kind of guy. He reacted to it on stream and thousands of his fans came after me saying shit like, you don't get it, you're just a fucking loser. Gideon's a comedic genius, he's a great guy. And then, you know, like a year later, Gideon deleted all of his videos, said he found God, and said that all of his old videos were immature and he shouldn't have made them. So, you know, you can call me a visionary if you want. I won't stop you. Anyways, that's not like super important to the video today. I just wanted to mention that. Like I was saying, the clip that we're talking about today kind of caught me off guard because a lot of people have sent me Gideon's predator catching content, and really, if I'm being completely honest, I thought it was kind of some of the better stuff on YouTube when it comes to that genre. It's not perfect, don't get me wrong, I still wouldn't call it like good necessarily. It has all the issues that all this kind of content has, but Gideon does seem to normally try and get what the police need to do something, and a lot of his videos do end with these guys getting arrested. Now, I don't know how many of them have actually been charged. It's probably not that many. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Correct me if I am, please. But it does seem like the majority of these videos do end with a guy in cuffs. He seems to generally take it pretty seriously. He's not just going out trying to like beat these guys up for fun. He confronts them professionally. It doesn't ever seem like he's really just trying to get a rise out of somebody for content. For the most part, it's pretty level-headed stuff. And as far as the genre goes, like I said, it's some of the better stuff on YouTube, I think. However, my opinion of it has changed a bit after I've dug into it more. Maybe I just wasn't looking hard enough to begin with, though, to be honest. Because I saw this clip the other day for, I guess it's like a membership for the predator catching content that he does. And I don't know, guys, it's really left a bad taste in my mouth, and I think it's something worth talking about. Because like I was saying earlier, I think a lot of these guys sort of get to a point where they almost start to forget what they're doing, and maybe that's what we're seeing here. I'm going to show you guys the clip in full, and then we're going to go through it. Again, this is like an advertisement for a membership service to his predator catching content. Please subscribe.
What's this? What the f is this?
Do you want to watch EDP Watch episodes early and completely uncensored? Do you want to listen in on these disturbing one-on-one calls we have with these monsters?
Do you usually like rub your or do you it?
And do you want to support our mission to protect those who cannot protect themselves? Then why not join EDPWatch.com?
It's showtime!
Get extended, early, uncut, and exclusive never-before-seen episodes, full uncensored chat logs, audio calls, access to the exclusive Discord, and the chance to be flown out and do an EDP catch with yours truly, DeMarcus Handsome. All for the low, low price of $4.45. So what are you waiting for? Pull a Marquise brownie and speed on over to EDPWatch.com. Warning, the following content may cause extreme disgust, secondhand embarrassment.
Okay, so obviously, I think there are a few different things wrong with this little plug. One, I think, is just the overall vibe, like the editing style, the way this was scripted. Again, we are talking about content where the entire focus is going after people who try and manipulate, exploit, and do some of the worst things imaginable to some of the most vulnerable members of our society. Like, we're talking about child predators here, and it's like an Adult Swim parody commercial. Now look, don't get me wrong, I'm not the kind of guy who thinks that like humor should be off limits for certain things. I think that there's room for humor in basically anything, but I really can't help but feel like editing something like this and making something where you're talking about what Gideon's talking about here in this style is in poor taste. To me, it's just a genre of content that should be treated a little bit more seriously, because these guys are trying to catch these predators. That's a completely different thing than, for example, making a video where you make fun of somebody who was on the show to catch a predator. Because when you're watching that show, you know that those guys are fucked. That show was done with law enforcement. They all got arrested. Like, you knew what was going to happen to them. With these guys, it's not really the same thing. Like, it's kind of weird to edit a video in this style when, like I mentioned earlier, you could just be making a significantly more safe, cautious, and aware predator who's going to be a more effective predator. Like, we're talking about catching people who want to prey on children. Maybe limit it to one explosion effect? I don't know. Just a thought. Also, like, using EDP as like a meme in this advertisement seems like really, really poor taste, because that's like one of the biggest examples of how this stuff usually ends. EDP didn't go to jail. Nothing happened to EDP. Sure, he was banned off YouTube, but like, he didn't go to jail and then he got caught trying to do it again. Like, you're kind of exposing yourself here, guys. You're using the most famous example of why your content is kind of a bad thing and doesn't really work as a way to advertise your content. You're kind of showing your hand there that you don't really care if these guys don't actually end up going to jail. Thirdly, it seems like conversations between a predator and what they think is a minor is a really, really strange thing to lock behind a paywall. Like, why would you want to read that? I mean, you want to read the chats between a guy role-playing as a little girl or a little boy and a man who thinks that they are a little girl or a little boy? Why the fuck would you pay for that? Like, that's crazy behavior. Selling it is just as weird. Like, you realize that's what you're doing, right, Gideon? You're essentially selling child predator roleplay transcripts. That's weird, dude. Not only that, there's audio too. Like, how the fuck did this make it past the drawing board? This is an insane thing to try and sell a membership for. And then the whole like fucking Disney sweepstakes shit where it's like, you can win a predator catching experience. Like, are you shitting me? Gideon fans got really mad at me the last time I said this, but I'm gonna say it again. I'd have a really hard time believing that like the average Gideon fan is an adult. If you just read through the comments on his channel, you can kind of tell that that's like not the case. So, I mean, on the list of crazy shit I've heard YouTubers say, advertising to what I've got to imagine is an audience full of teenagers. The chance to be flown out to meet a fucking child predator is pretty fucking nuts. Like, look, I'm gonna give Gideon the benefit of the doubt here and say that if he ever did this, that he'd probably make sure that it was an adult. But I mean, he doesn't say that in this advertisement, which you have to. So I don't know, man. That's just a little wacky for me. A little much. Again, even if he did say adults only, treating this as some sort of like fun, cool experience. Like, you would be meeting a person who wants to have sex with a child. Who the fuck wants to do that? You know what I mean? Like, why are we treating this like some funny game? I mean, seriously, on my list of things that I would like to do with my free time, flying out somewhere to meet up with a child predator has got to be right at the bottom. And I really think the fact that Gideon or his team or whoever put this together thinks that the average person would be interested in that enough to pay for it really sort of shows some true colors and is indicative of these guys not doing this for the right reason. You should not be having fun doing this. Reading chat logs from guys who have no issue exploiting and ruining the lives of children, meeting up with them, making jokes about it. These are not things that I think you should really want to do. Is that subjective? I guess. Not very, though, I don't think. I don't know. Maybe they're seeing it differently. I don't really know how you would. good. To me, there is no reasonable explanation on the planet as to why you would be trying to sell the chat and audio logs of child predators, and I don't think there's a logical or reasonable explanation for the people buying it either. Everybody's fucking weird in this. Well, guys, what do you think? How do you think we should view this plug? Because honestly, like I said, I feel like Gideon feels like he's probably doing this for the right reasons, and parts of his content you can watch it and come out thinking that, but when you see shit like this, when your entire thing is supposedly protecting the kids, and then you turn around and use a child predator to help advertise a service that's only gonna make you money, I don't know, it's kind of weird. And like I said, don't get me wrong, I don't think that humor should be like off limits, even when you're talking about stuff like Gideon does, but I don't know, when you're basically selling the chat logs of child predators, and you're inviting people to come out on predator catches like it's some sort of fun thing that you'd spend a Sunday doing, I don't know, it just feels like things are not being done for the right reasons, and people's hearts are probably not where they should be. Am I looking too far into it? Maybe. I don't really think I am, though. I'm curious to hear what you guys think. And again, before I let you guys go, don't forget, if you want to start learning more about your family heritage and your history today, scan the QR code on the screen or visit the link in the description to get your 14-day free trial to MyHeritage. See ya.